Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about towers kind of monsters. So, obviously, the term towers is kind of a throwback to the OG towers, Apocryphal towers. So if we conveniently go, oh, it just automatically refreshes. Okay, I didn't even change anything, but alright. So essentially, Towers is just a monster that's unaffected in some way, so you can just consider it a big asshole that is somewhat hard to out for whatever reason. Usually, it's because it has some form of protection that makes it hard to remove. And it's just a big asshole, right? So, in case of Apocalypse Towers here, it's just a 3k guy, more or less. There's also this effect, I guess. All special summon monsters lose 500 attack and defense. But even Towers is not genuinely as unaffected as some other monsters because this condition requires like original level rank, which is kind of awkward because then this is affected by Baron now. So yeah, power creep. But of course we have more modern towers, and these cards are also now getting power crept. Crazily enough, now if we think really hard, is there a good towers monster right now in the modern day? So if we just simply disregard the fact that we have like kaijus, yeah, just a main deck kaiju immediately outs any towers monster pretty much, except for Rongo Miniad. Rongo Miniad is probably the strongest towers that has ever existed, I guess, right? Considering that there's like only like I think three or so cards that can reasonably remove Rongo Miniad. Like pretty crazy if you think about it that way, but okay. What can we do here? If we have um stuff to worry about like kaijus, and then we have the Atlantis, this just gets rid of any of our towers type monsters that specifically don't have like actual protection, like cannot be banished, cannot be destroyed, or whatever. Instead, it's cannot be targeted. We kind of get screwed by Zealantis. And just in general, if our opponent is prepared for a tower's monsters, they will have Underworld Goddess perhaps as well. And this is just able to remove any towers pretty much, period. Aside from Rongominiad, who stops you from special summoning, so you wouldn't be able to go into Goddess in the first place, you know. But aside from that, we still have as well um, Evermax. So just Evermax, that's an option, just run over the towers by battle, because towers can usually just be destroyed by battle, but they just can't be removed by any other way. Just in general, right? That's how it goes. And then, of course, in the same thread, we have, I think it was something like this. No, well, brain. Okay, stop refreshing. Okay, that function that they added that just is super distracting and pretty annoying, honestly. But okay, so we have Summon Great Raging Phoenix. If it is special summoned from the graveyard, then you can use its effect to special summon itself, and it becomes well. Let's see. I don't remember the exact value of Promethean Princess's attack. 2.7. This is 2.8. So this is 5.5k attack, which would out the majority of towers type monsters, except for like maybe a Psychic and Punisher. And it's also worth mentioning, I guess, that towers, especially the more like recently released towers, for the most part, are becoming weaker in terms of their effect because they're not genuinely unaffected. So with Psychic and Punisher, we are only unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and a lot of modern towers are specifically designed like this and are not like unaffected by everything, period. And this has a lot of qualities that just makes it worse than, for example, like a Final Sigma. Well, it depends on the exact situation because there are, of course, situations where it would be better. But if we go ahead and read Geomathematic Final Sigma here, unaffected by card effects except Mathematic cards while in the extra monster zone. This does not specify player, meaning if I drop a Dark Hole with Final Sigma on my field, Final Sigma will be A-OK. Psychic and Punisher, for example, only says, um, this Synchro Summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, meaning it would still be activated by your own activated effects. So I drop a Dark Hole, bye-bye Psychic and Punisher. Also worth mentioning is IP Masquerade's protection is also per player, well, specifically your opponent cannot destroy, you can still destroy, so same kind of thing there. So, not only are Towers monsters actually getting overall, I guess, weaker, every single year, pretty much, there is another card that outs Towers or like Towers type monsters that they just keep on coming. And our Towers monsters are only getting weaker. I mean, can you really balance a Towersies type monster? I mean, right now the ones we have are fairly balanced, but if we were to make one that's like stupid in the same way like Tearlament was, let's say just slap a floating effect and it's like, oh, hmm. So I guess Goddess, just Goddess, right? Right now, it might say something like really absurd. Like let's say instead of like how Tearlaments, if they get sent by a card effect to the graveyard or whatever, uh, they they trigger a float effect, specifically the fusions or some sort of graveyard effect, like with Kit Kellis just milling. So how about we just have a Towers monster that just, I don't know, if it were to be modern and released in like 2025 or something, then it would probably say something dumb to play around Goddess like special summon the exact same monster again, but properly from the extra deck, just because. So like, I don't know, like, assuming it's an XYZ material or XYZ monster, it might like XYZ summon a guy from the extra deck and then just attach itself to itself, I guess, because they're the same card as material. So now you have to out my Tower Z monster like 3-4 times or something dumb. Very epic. It might have like a line or something that says if you destroyed by battle, it doesn't do the float effect, I guess, at least. But if it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent's like card except for battle, I guess, some kind of text like that. Now that sounds like a modern Towers, because you unironically would need it to keep up with like all of this crap. So like if I were to get Kaiju'd like when I'm playing deck with like a Towers monsters, that feels a lot more fair to me, honestly. But then when someone just drops like Underworld Goddess, the issue I have with Goddess is not that it outs the Towers monster, right? Because Link 5 or needing 4 effect monsters or so or whatever to like I guess it would be around uh 4 or 3 monsters depending on like the exact game state, right? And how things are going in general, but it's usually around that many. Underworld Goddess is really annoying because it has 3 effects straight up. So we have you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls, and then notably this is just a forever negate, which is annoying. And then Underworld Goddess is kind of a Towers type monster itself, which is kind of weird. This link summon card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card, and also it has this effect. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster or monsters from the graveyard quick effect, you negate the activation. Another annoying effect right there. And usually, what this would be made with, if it was made on your turn as well, worth mentioning, is IP Masquerena, meaning you can't do targeted destruction on it. You have to do like some kind of targeted removal on Underworld Goddess. That is not destruction, which is just also kind of annoying. That or you can do it by battle, I guess, which is still fine. But this is also a Towers, and Another really strong-ish card that we have released recently, Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. Change as many monsters on the field as possible to face down defense position. Then if either player controls a face-up monster or monsters, they must send all face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. So now we just randomly have a trap card that's very powerful that also outs our towers type monsters. So yeah, that's hella annoying. So let's just assume we end on just the towers monster, right? So with how Destructive Dharma Karma Cannon works, if a monster is not changed to defense position, then well, nothing gets sent, right? That's what mandatory then means, and that can kind of work out for you, right? Like if we just end on maybe just a rival pass, right? That makes sense. But if our opponent has a monster that can be just turned to defense position, doesn't really matter what it is. Could be Ash Blossom Joy Spring. That would still work. That outs your arrival. Or whatever towers type monster you have, right? And I think that is just kind of dumb, honestly. Yup. No real no real thoughts about it aside from I guess. Yeah, that's dumb. Yup. So this also being just a good card in general means this will see play in general. The only way that Destructive Dharma Karma Cannon sees less play would be specifically if fusion decks were super good. Which in that case, this card can be like really bad. So this is more format dependent. But these guys just exist in the extra deck. Unlike with like Kaijus, you would have to just main deck them because like let's say we have a Tower Z meta or Towers Monster meta. Then we can just main deck these things and this would not be that bad, but like having so many extra deck outs to Towers monsters is kind of just little like bold, right? And at the same time, all your Towers monsters are getting like worse whenever they're getting released. So no idea how to feel about this. Like let's say we have an insanely hard to summon Towers monster that's really obnoxious to summon overall. Oh, my opponent just beat over it with Summon Great Raging Phoenix, which I couldn't do anything about. Very epic. That, or perhaps they used Underworld Goddess, because, well, why not? And this sequence is ridiculously efficient, too, so... this is essentially doable with, 3 monsters you would want. About 3 monsters to do this with. Depends on exactly how it goes, but... If we go, special summon, like, or summon just in general 3 monsters, could be any monsters, honestly, as long as they are specifically effect monsters, I believe. So we can just go, like, let's assume we just have on our field 3 copies of Beige. Actually, that doesn't work. So let's go with 2 copies of Beige and then 1 copy of. Let's see if I can find something here. This works, I guess. So we have Yamadron, and then 2 copies of Beige. We go like Yamadron, Beige, Hita. Hita effect to special summon, then we can take a fire monster. Go Promethean. Promethean summons back Hita. Then we can go Raging Phoenix. And also when we're making the Summon Great Raging Phoenix, I suppose we would need 1 more fire for this, I think. But in general, what we're going to be doing is we're going to make Raging Phoenix, then link it off for Z Atlantis, and then we're going to, well, I guess I didn't use good example cards here, but yeah, whatever. Z Atlantis effect is going to then be able to forcefully trigger Promethean Princess, and then you will be popping Summon Great Raging Phoenix, right? So that is going to remove 1 monster there, because usually you don't actually end on just raw Towers monsters nowadays. So Okay, that's one card being removed from your side of the field if you are the Towers player, right? And then after that, we get a co-link going with the Atlantis and Promethean Princess. So then that is generic hop 2 uh, right here on this effect. And this is also non-targeting. So non-targeting destroy 2, so that's destroy 3 cards. And then of course these cards are moderately chonky, they're not like super big. So this one is pretty big though, being at 5.5k attack. So that would be able to like run over your towers typically, unless it's maybe like a Psychic and Punisher, in which case this will probably not be able to be removed this way. And worth analyzing right now, though, is how many players are actually playing Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, because this makes the idea of something like a Horus Punk a lot better, being able to just drop your combo pretty fast right now and just ending on Psychic and Punisher. That's like not that bad of an idea if we just burn ourselves for a decent amount and then have a really big Psychic and Punisher to buy ourselves a turn in case our opponent like drop Maxi or something. I don't know. But yeah, this is just a 5.5k guy, and our opponent removes just like 3 cards before even going battle with this Raging Phoenix, so it's just stupid, really. And then meanwhile, you just have like probably some kind of unaffected guy that does not much. Honestly, it's just hoping your opponent can't out this, but there's also the idea of just summoning like Magnite Crusadia Avramax. We have Underworld Goddess as well, which we can just use this. And this also, not just, well, depending on exactly what your board is, right? So if I was playing Blackwing, notably, if my opponent summons, or if I allow my opponent to summon an Underworld Goddess, it's so miserable because it also, let's just assume I have like maybe uh, Red Abyss Dragon and Blackwing Assault Dragon 3 and Blackwing Full Armor Master 1, then my opponent can negate all 3 copies of my Blackwing Assault Dragon. Just all 3 of them. Yep. So all 3 of them would be negated by Underworld Goddess. And well, another thing that's annoying in this case is if I had something like Crystal Wing, for example, instead. Even in this situation, we are suffering from Goddess, because we can't negate the Goddess. So it's a fairly versatile card as well, so this can potentially out one of our cards and then just blank the rest of our negates if we don't have like a targeted negate to stop Goddess with. So for example, even if we had, well, Solemn Strike, well, we could use that to negate the summon of Goddess, but let's just say if we were to Solemn Strike the activated effect of Goddess here on its summon, right? If we were to do that, it would not work, because that did not target. Yup. Fun card. Or rather, a very unfun card, I suppose. So, yeah. Towers monsters are falling off, and I don't even know if it's like super reasonable to make good towers, because let's be real, it sounds like illness, I guess. Yeah, let's go with that. It sounds like an illness you're if you're a towers monster. Let's say we have like a 5k guy that just you out this somehow that wasn't by battle. Oh, guess it special summoned another one. Did you out that one by not battle again? Silly goose. Yep, I'll summon the third one now. And of course, yep, I can recycle them. So yep, you'll have to do that like 3 more times next turn. Seems fair. Seems fun. You know how it is. Uh, yeah. So not a whole lot I can see being done, but in general, I do like towers kind of monsters, and there's always a great battle plan, right? Of how do we out Blackwing Full Armor Master, right? Well, I have a great plan. What if you out it with Blackwing Full Armor Master, you know? fight fire with fire. I always like that strategy a little bit. So, if your opponent makes a big asshole, you just make also a big asshole or even bigger asshole. So just if we just do get enough like kind of strong boss monsters, if they were like very archetype locked, like I guess in the same way Blackwing Full Armor Masters, and perhaps less generic than like Psychic and Punisher, it might be reasonable for us to get like another good towers. But just for example, like if we were to look at Caesar or what's his face? Oh wait, was it not Caesar? What was the name of this card? Brand. Wait, I can't find it. Oh, never mind. Oh, I just built Caesar wrong. Okay. Yeah, Vanquish Soul Caesar Valius. This is kind of towers, it's just unaffected by your opponent's activated effects this turn, and it's 3k attack, 1.5k defense. Incredibly mid effect on that Earth effect, but I mean, it sometimes is relevant, but it's not like the primary thing you want to be using Caesar Valius for anyways. Just the idea of having a hard to out monster is just nice. Another modern one, I guess, would be like Scareclaw Tryheart. Tryheart has like a decent design because I guess it can be outed by Link monsters, except when it can't because of the Scareclaw trap or whatever. So that's a little bit annoying in my opinion, right? That neither player can activate the effects of Link monsters on the field. But why? No idea why. And now that I look at it, wait, did I always own this many Scareclaw cards? Hmm, pretty playable. I only need like one light heart to at least make this playable. Although, optimally, you might play like two or three of them. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And hopefully, uh, Tires Monsters still have a place in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like a year from now. So right now, they're still technically like fairly usable, right? But I feel like with the direction we're going, it's only gonna keep going downhill from here unless something changes. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.